Good morning. Today is Monday, June 30th, 2025. The few Iranian missiles that were not intercepted and hit Israel recently caused tremendous damage. The loss of 28 lives, hundreds of people seriously injured, widespread trauma and anxiety. Buildings and homes were destroyed, leaving people without a place to live for now. But there was one particular strike that caused a specific and wide-ranging damage. And that is that on June 15th, an Iranian ballistic missile had a direct hit on the Weizmann Institute. Now, no one was killed in that missile strike, but the missile destroyed two of the buildings, and many more were damaged. Weizmann Institute is, in Israel and even around the world, one of the foremost institutions of scientific research, medical and other kinds of research. Was established in 1934 by Israel's first president, Chaim Weizmann, who was also a scientist. And in this missile attack, 45 laboratories were destroyed. The estimated cost to rebuild is about $50 million per lab, plus another $50 million for the equipment that goes in that lab. And so that's times 45. Professor Urin Schulener, one of the research scientists there, he said that it's not the money that is the most concerning thing. His research focuses on developmental neurobiology, and he's involved in research to try to understand and define cures for autism, schizophrenia, ADHD, and other neuropsychiatric disorders. He said, my lab investigates these mechanisms using the fruit fly as a model organism. Over the years, we've developed a range of tools that allow us to visualize individual neutrons within the intact brain of the fly. And he said, our most dramatic loss is the hundreds of flies that we had created over the years. And that necessarily sets back the advances that he hoped to realize, to be able to understand better and to combat these neurological disorders. He said that in his lab, it's heartbreaking. There's no other word for it. We're talking about 17 years of my career, all that we had built as a group, completely vaporized. Professors and researchers at the Weizmann Institute, which is in Rehovot, so it's a little bit south of Tel Aviv, the people who work there, they are in mourning. And they're grieving not only the destroyed labs and the equipment and the tissue samples and the lab animals and the work of Israeli and foreign students that's been disrupted, but also over the setback in scientific research that was aimed at benefiting humanity, reducing suffering, and saving lives. One of the buildings that was destroyed is the Ullman Building of Life Sciences. That's where researchers are dedicated to cancer research. And for those researchers working on treatments for cancer, the loss was devastating. Dr. Liat Yankelowitz, Karen, is one of the cancer researchers. And she said in an interview with the Jerusalem Post, she said that she was in mourning over the loss of irreplaceable cancer samples in her tumor immunology lab that again would have helped to find cures for cancer. And that's now set back. Valuable tissue samples caused a setback in scientific research that was aimed at benefiting mankind, saving lives, and reducing tragedy, and reducing suffering. Hanna Yerushalmi, I have quoted her to you before. She wrote a poem. And the title of the poem is Shiva, like sitting Shiva, Shiva for Science. Thousands of heart tissue samples obliterated. Unique DNA libraries teeming with stem cells evaporated. Generations of pioneering research destroyed. A $50 million crown jewel of science erased. In one lab, 3 entire floors collapsed. Nothing left. No data, no images, no notes, no history. Oh, dear rabbis of the Talmud, where is it written, how should we sit Shiva for science? It's an unimaginable loss. And we need to sit Shiva along with all of the other losses to the loss of scientific knowledge and research that is supposed to help people. And now it's gone. Professor Eldad Tzahor is the head of a laboratory of regenerative medicine. He's the world leader in cardiac regeneration, and his lab was totally destroyed. He wrote in a Facebook post, "This is hard and sad, as nothing was left to save. We study regenerative medicine, so we will regenerate, regrow, and build." One of my students said, the only thing that wasn't gone is our motivation. James Agolny wrote an article, tremendously moving article. It was in the Times of Israel. And he wrote, the Iranian missile that struck the Weizmann Institute didn't just target a scientific facility. It tried to strike at something far deeper, the very heartbeat of human curiosity. It attempted to extinguish something sacred, the spirit of discovery. And yet, miraculously, defiantly, it failed. Because what missiles cannot destroy are the people who built it. Take, for example, Professor Eldad Tzahor. I just quoted him to you a moment ago. 22 years of heart biology research, samples, slides, DNA, RNA, irreplaceable data, gone in an instant. And yet, what did he do? He climbed over rubble. He opened a refrigerator full of precious samples with his son-in-law. He tried. He acted, because sometimes resilience is simply refusing to give up, even when it looks like everything is lost. And that is what makes Israel different. Not the absence of tragedy, but the relentless insistence on rebuilding anyway. It's Israel's way of giving a double-barreled message to its enemies: resilience and defiance. And he said further, this is what innovating the future of Israel looks like, not just writing code or launching satellites, but choosing hope over helplessness, choosing action over anger, choosing to build again and again and again. This is the spirit that we find across Israeli society, exemplified by the professionals, the researchers at Weizmann Institute. And it's the story of Israel that is playing out today. Born of resilience, sparked by renewal, and powered always by people who still dare to innovate the future of Israel, even when the lab lights go dark. And he ended with the following lines: to my friends at the Weizmann Institute in Rehovot, your city will shine again, because its light isn't in the buildings. Its light is in you. We hope for peace, and we hope for renewal at the Weizmann Institute, to be able to continue their life-saving work. And the same spirit of renewal and resilience and refusal to give up, and the insistence on starting over again, that spirit pervades all of Israeli society and the Jewish community worldwide. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.